Ever since the crafter was added, I couldn't stop but think that looks like a code log. And we can even disable the slots in the interface. Almost as if we are inputting a code. Could you turn the crafter into a working code log? I mean, that would be so sick. Well, a few weeks ago I finally tried it. The idea was to use a crafter to input a 3-number code, and if it's the correct one, a door or something opens. How hard can it be? Okay, there was one big problem. I mean, I was pretty confident that I could come up with a system to check if the code you input is correct. However, for that to work, the system would have needed to know the code. And what's funny is that there's no intentional way to check which slots in a crafter are disabled. Well, we can just look at it and see it, but a redstone machine can't. So I had to figure something out myself, which was surely really easy. I mean, there's tons of redstone items and people have used them to create even crazier contraptions. You know, maybe a comparator would work. Nope. Okay, maybe... Yeah, at that point I already ran out of ideas. But of course, since the video isn't over, I must have found a way. Basically, after testing a whole lot of things and accidentally discovering unlimited energy, my best and only idea was to use crafting recipes. Let me explain. First, you've gotta disable certain slots in a crafter, or in other words, enter a code. Then a machine uses hoppers to fill up the other slots with items for a specific crafting recipe, and activates the crafter. And if you disabled the right slots, the crafter will output the correct item, which we can detect by simply using an item sorter. However, that would have meant that only certain 3-number codes work, not just any. And also, that would have used up materials, you know, to craft the item. And if you want to change the code, you would have to change the whole machine. Because there's some recipes like the crossbow that use a bunch of items, and then there's simple recipes like, I don't know, iron doors that only use one item. So I decided that I'm not gonna do that, even though it would have made it really easy. But I wasn't sure if there was another way. I mean, I was out of ideas. And it seemed like using hoppers to input some items into a crafter was the only method I could have used to build a machine that can check which slots are disabled. But Neeson, how would you do that? Well, I had no idea. So I did what most people do nowadays. Instead of thinking for myself, I just let AI do the work. Yeah, to be honest, I didn't expect to get a useful answer anyways. Okay, that's just rude now. But anyways, now I really had to figure this out. Now it's not just about turning the crafter into a code log. Now I could also prove that I am smarter than AI, and therefore have an IQ of over 155. 155. Yeah, I don't believe it. Anyways, then I just tried a few things. Until I got the brilliant idea to create some kind of algorithm. To be honest, I didn't really know if it was gonna work, but the idea was to input 2 moss blocks into the crafter, activate it and repeat that a few times. Why? Because 2 moss blocks next to each other will give you moss carpets. So that means if we put 2 moss blocks into a crafter and activate it, we should get moss carpets. And if we now input another item into the crafter, then the 2 moss blocks, remove the first item and activate, we should get moss carpets again. But when the first slot is disabled, we will only get moss carpets the first time, not the second time. And then by simply combining all the outputs, which are either moss carpets or no moss carpets, we should be able to figure out which slots are disabled. Now at that point I just started building a machine that could do that, because I finally had something that might work, and I was pretty confident that that shouldn't be too complicated. Okay, it's kinda complicated and kinda big. And it might be kinda slow, but at least it works. I don't know how to show you. I mean, you kinda have to understand what's going on. And to be honest, I don't even understand it myself anymore. It's just, I've tried to understand it again, and it's just too much. Too much. So yeah, you just gotta believe me. So it does not work. I mean, some codes kinda worked or something, but it's terrible. It does not work. But what if I told you that I found another way to get the code out of the crafter? Well, I didn't. I did try. I mean, I even tried to use the mechanics of a really smart machine that can sort falling blocks by tricking the game into transferring block data from one block to the other, which surprisingly did not work. And well, eventually I was just getting sick of this whole project. but I still wanted to make it work. So I decided to take a short break and then continue with a fresh mind. So 3 weeks later I finally remembered the project. Yeah, I'm the best. However, it kinda worked, cause I quickly came up with an idea. You input the code and then a machine fills up all the slots that are not disabled with an item, like glass panes. Then you enable the 3 slots again, the machine fills them up with different non-stackable items, like minecarts, and takes all the items to an item sorter, which they'll go through one after the other, starting with the item in the first slot and ending with the item in the last slot. And if a slot was disabled, we'll get an output right here. And that worked. It worked really well. So now we could actually input codes. The thing is, we couldn't do anything with them. So now I had to build a system to check if the inputted code is correct, which I thought was gonna be easy, but of course it was terrible. I tried multiple different designs and none of them seemed to work. And that went on for a few days. However, the more I failed, the closer I got to figuring it out. And after some more time, I finally did it. Now, to use the crafter code lock machine, or whatever you wanna call it, you just have to, if the door is open, input any code. And then the machine will close the door and actually save the code. So next time you wanna open it again, you've gotta input that same code. And yeah, that means if you want to, you can change the code every time, or just use the same one. And no, you cannot set a permanent code. Therefore, I would have to make the system even more complicated, and I just need a break from this or I'm gonna go crazy. However, if this video does well, I'll immediately do it, since we all know views are more important than your mental well-being.